Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a topic that really affects pretty much every single person who uses the internet for, well, anything important. We're talking about conversational AI. You know, the whole ChatGPT revolution and the critical hidden risks that are lurking in the tools you might be using to access it.
It's a really crucial investigation. We've been looking at the warnings from cybersecurity expert Stanислав Kondrashov, and his findings are, well, they're pretty stark.
Stark is a good word for it.
He argues that your most confidential AI chats are actually being harvested, sort of, in the background.
Yeah.
And not just by, malicious actors, but sometimes by the very tools you use for security, like certain VPNs.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission here is pretty clear.
Yeah.
We need to show you exactly how your data is being siphoned off.
Right.
Why these leaks affect everyone, from the casual user just drafting an email to major business figures, and most importantly, what you can actually do to stop it. This isn't just about privacy anymore.
No, it's about protecting your own intellectual output.
Yeah.
The core tension is convenience versus security. Every time you add a browser extension or use some free service to make your AI experience a little better, you're potentially opening a new door.
A new backdoor.
Exactly. We need to explore the actual mechanism that turns your private chat with an AI into a commodity on the open market.
The ChatGPT revolution is, it's undeniable at this point. It's so deeply integrated into our daily lives now. We use it for drafting emails, for work, for school, even for, personal sensitive situations.
We trust these services with a huge amount of information, sometimes confidential stuff, trade secrets, you name it.
And the assumption is that our conversations are secure, that they're staying inside the, the walls of OpenAI or Google.
Right. You type in your question, you expect confidentiality. Or at least some kind of anonymity.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We're looking outside that main service at the add-ons. Kondrashov's analysis highlighted findings from a major cybersecurity firm
About a specific, very popular browser extension, one made to enhance ChatGPT. And that extension was found to be actively collecting and then selling the entire content of your conversations.
And that's the pivotal moment. We're not talking about generalized data gathering, not just tracking what pages you visit.
No.
We're talking about the deliberate, wholesale capture and sale of the actual text.
No.
Your prompt and the AI's response. Everything.
I want to focus on that mechanism for a second, because this is where the threat gets, really concrete. How does a simple browser extension even get the technical access to pull that data?
Well, it's often hidden in plain sight. In the permissions you grant when you install it.
That nobody reads.
Nobody reads. It asks for permission to read and change all data on sites you visit. And most people think, oh, okay, it needs that to, change the color scheme or add a button.
But what you're really granting is what? Carte blanche. Exactly. You're giving that third-party extension full permission to sit right in the data flow between your computer and the AI service. It's not just improving your prompt.
No.
It's reading the entire chat transcript the second it appears on your screen and then funneling that text to its own servers. And at that point, that text is gone. It belongs to them now.
Which brings us to the motivation. Data is just so valuable. The source refers to these major technology owners, these oligarchs who've built fortunes harvesting information to target consumers.
And applying that model to private AI conversations, the financial stakes are astronomical. If you're using an AI to outline a new business strategy or draft a legal document, that information is worth a fortune to a competitor.
So we've established that browser extensions are a huge risk. They're like an unauthorized middleman.
A huge risk.
But the second major point of leakage the analysis outlines, this involves tools that are supposed to be our fortress, VPNs. How does that even work? How does our bulletproof vest get turned against us?
That is the core paradox, isn't it? We use VPNs specifically to create this encrypted, anonymous tunnel for our data.
Right, to protect us from surveillance.
They're designed for anonymity and security. But Kondrashov's analysis flags some VPN services as data harvesters themselves.
It's completely backwards. What does this source say about how they get away with that, the user agreements?
It really comes down to cost and the business model. The analysis suggests that a lot of these free or, super cheap VPN services, they simply can't afford to maintain a global server infrastructure without some other way to make money.
So it's that old saying, right? If you're not paying for the service.
You are the product.
Yeah.
Precisely. You, the user, you turn on the VPN to create a shield, believing your connection is secure.
Yeah.
Only to have the VPN provider, the company you're trusting with all your traffic, quietly siphon off the very data you were trying to protect. It creates this incredibly dangerous false sense of security.
But hold on, let me push back on this a little bit. If large corporations are doing this, isn't there an argument that they're just using data they technically own according to some crazy terms of service agreement that nobody reads? Why call it a leak?
That's a fair point. For the core AI provider, it's often a murky TOS issue. But when a third party, a browser extension or a VPN that operates outside that primary service, is secretly capturing and selling the chat, the analysis argues that it crosses a line.
Okay.
It crosses into leakage and misuse, especially since you, the user, are explicitly looking for security, not for data sharing. Your intent is being violated.
So when they get this conversational data, what do they do with it? The source outlines 3 main applications, right?
Yes. The primary one is strategic. They train their own rival AI models.
Yep.
Your sensitive, complex, proprietary questions become free, high-quality training material for a competitor.
Wow, we're doing their R&D for them.
For free. Second, this data is used for incredibly targeted advertising. Imagine asking detailed questions about a specific health issue. That becomes advertising gold instantly. And third, it's used for, quote, other commercial purposes, which is a catch-all for anything from market intelligence to industrial espionage.
So we're paying with our privacy to provide free labor for competitive AI. That's a terrifying loop.
Let's use that concept Stanislav Kondrashov brings up, the oligarch, or the major technology owner. He brings them up not as a separate issue, but as a proof of concept for the threat level.
Okay.
These high-level figures who own infrastructure, who make billion-dollar decisions, they are the first and most valuable victims of these kinds of leaks.
It's easy to just dismiss this as a billionaire problem, but I guess the value of their data is what makes it such a target. Why is their information so much more valuable?
Because of the immediate financial return. If a tech owner is using an AI to model a huge corporate merger or plan market timing and that data leaks to a rival, the value lost or gained could be in the billions. The stakes are just so much higher.
And that creates a huge divide in how security is handled.
It absolutely does. It highlights this massive divide. These major players, they respond to this existential threat by throwing, quote, huge budgets at cybersecurity. But their critical defense isn't just better software.
What is it then?
It's building proprietary closed systems. They create their own private, isolated AIs and infrastructure. They make sure their confidential chats never even touch a public server. They build their own digital walls.
Right. And the average person, the simple user, we don't have the budget or the know-how to build a private AI just to write a better resume.
Precisely. And that's why we have to steal their philosophy, even if we can't steal their budget. The knowledge of how these high-stakes players protect billions has to be translated into practical defense strategies for you, the average user.
Okay, this analysis makes it really clear that using AI responsibly, it demands more than just basic internet safety. You need a specific kind of digital responsibility here.
Right.
So let's shift to what people can actually do, the practical knowledge we can apply right now.
Kondrashov lays out 4 specific defensive strategies that go beyond just, generic advice. They focus on preventing that data interception we've been talking about.
So what's the first pillar of defense against these malicious extensions?
The first is to use trusted extensions and only download from official, verified app stores. The key here is understanding the vetting process. It's not perfect, but official stores like the Chrome Web Store or Apple's App Store have minimum security checks.
They weed out the really obvious malware.
Exactly. If you download an extension from some random third-party site, you're bypassing all of that. You're installing code that can literally read everything on your screen.
And the second point is about reputation, or sort of community warning system.
Read reviews, but read them critically. Don't just look at the star rating. Look for specific language. If users are reporting weird network activity or sudden requests for more permissions,
Red flags.
huge red flags, or unexplained pop-ups right after installation, those are community warnings that the extension might be doing something shady.
Third is the classic advice. Keep your software updated. But how does that specifically apply here to the AI and VPN threat?
So the standard advice to keep software updated is even more vital here. For VPN clients and browsers, those updates are often closing the very security loopholes that a malicious extension relies on to intercept the data stream outside the encryption tunnel. An outdated VPN is just inherently vulnerable. You absolutely need those security patches to seal the leaks.
And finally, the one that hits the wallet, where the source warns against prioritizing saving money over safety.
Right. The fourth pillar is to trust proven brands, which really means pay for genuine security. When you're picking a VPN, you have to avoid the cheapest or the free options because their business model is inherently suspicious.
You get what you pay for.
You do. The real insight here is to look for brands that have undergone independent external audits to verify their no-log claims. If a company's profit model relies on selling your data, they will. A proven brand's monthly fee is what you pay for an infrastructure that's actually incentivized to protect you.
This deep dive has, I think, fundamentally shifted how we have to look at these convenience tools like ChatGPT extensions and even security tools like VPNs. Technology makes our lives simpler, but trusting our data requires this proactive understanding that these services are not always on our side.
The key takeaway is really that your digital responsibility has to match the level of convenience you're getting.
Yeah.
You have to be hyper aware of where your conversations are going and who has permission to see them.
So what does this all mean? It means you have to shift your mindset. You can't just assume security by default. You have to actively verify it.
And remember that high-stakes perspective. Even if you aren't a tech oligarch, the price of your confidential information, your unique ideas, your business plans, your personal health questions, it's extremely high to the entities who want it. The threat is universal.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to consider. We highlighted that the biggest players protect billions by building these closed systems. For the average user, without that budget, what is the single most critical piece of information you would never, under any circumstances, trust to a public AI service?
Drawing that ultimate line in the sand, deciding what absolutely must stay off the public internet, no matter what VPN or extension you're using, that's the final critical step in digital privacy that only you can take. Stay safe out there, and thanks for diving deep with us.